Hello everyone, welcome again. In the last video, I already told you about the microbiota distribution in the vagina. So I already give you an explanation of these four pie charts in which I told you that the females who is living in different areas have different type of vaginal microbiota distribution, and these are represented here with the help of this pie chart in which there are totally five groups. So in the last video, I already told you about all the four pie chart which is representing different microbiota distribution. In this video, I'll tell you about the reasons that why these females who is living in different areas have different microbiota distribution. Different groups bacteria are very in number due to many reasons in these females who is living in different areas. Like first reason can be that they are genetically determined differences between host. Means the female who is living in Asian countries and who is living in black countries, like black females or Hispanic females, all these females have uh, so we can say all these females have a different group of bacteria due to the genetically determinations, because every female have a different type of genetic makeup, and this genetic makeup little bit vary due to the environmental conditions. So females who is living in Asian countries have different type of environment, and the black females are living in a different type of environment. That's why their genetic makeup is vary. That is the main reason that in some females vaginal conditions become very healthy when it is acidic in condition, and some females who is living in black countries or Hispanic women have the conditions of vagina alkaline in nature, but they are also considered healthy. So this vaginal microbiota distribution pattern is mainly dependent upon the genetic makeup condition. Okay, second factor is that innate and adaptive immune system. As we all know that our body have two type of immune system, that is innate and adaptive immune system, and it vary according person to person. So females who is living in Asian and white countries have high immune system when so these females have high immune system, and some females have high immune system when the condition of vagina is alkaline in nature. So it depends upon the immune system. Third reason is the composition and quantity of vaginal secretion. Basically, the vaginal secretion is vary during the different phases of the life cycle. So vaginal secretion quantity and the composition which is present in the vaginal secretion also affect the vaginal microbiota distribution in the females. And the fourth factor is that ligands on epithelial surface. Females have vaginal layers of epithelial cell, and around the epithelial cell there is mucosa which is surrounding them, and they have different type of receptors or ligands. So as the vaginal discharge is good, or we can say that epithelial surface is very effective, then at this time ligands are very receptive for the pathogenic bacteria, and they engulf these bacteria, and that's why the condition remain acidic in nature. But in the black females, what happens is that these ligands are not as much effective. That's why the pathogenic bacteria which can cause alkaline condition, they can engulf inside the vaginal epithelial surface and leads to the alkaline condition environment. Okay, so that may be another factor for vaginal microbiota distribution. And the last but not the least reason is that personal hygiene, sexual behavior, methods of birth control, and birth mode. These all factors also affect the microbiota distribution in the vagina. So, like birth mode, if I talk about the birth mode, then some females have cesarean mode of birth for the child, and some females give priority to the vaginal birth mode. So in the females who had delivered a baby with the vagina, then in that condition females are less prone to the infectious disease, because the condition is more acidic in nature. But the females who give birth to the child with the cesarean, then it may be possible that these females have a more prone to the infectious disease. So these all are the factors which affect the vaginal microbiota distribution. So have a look on it. Now move towards the next slide. So here you can see this is about the vaginal discharge and the protection from the infections. So what is basically vaginal discharge? Firstly, we should know what are the components of vaginal discharge. So in the vaginal discharge, it includes a different kind of bacteria, desquamated epithelial cell, and the mucus, which is produced by the cervix and the vagina. So these four components mainly compose the vaginal discharge. And you can even having a look on the vaginal discharge, you can realize that as our body is healthy or not in the females. Like if the quantity and texture of the vaginal discharge vary, then you can analyze that yeah, we are healthy or we are not. Okay, so vaginal discharge basically vary during different phases of life cycle, as I said before. So vaginal discharge during the menstrual phase, in the starting or in the ending, it the quantity and the, you can say, texture of the vaginal discharge vary during this menstrual phase, because at that moment estrogen level is very high. I am assuming that you all know about the menstrual cycle phase, in which for a normal female is approximately 28 days. So in the first half estrogen level increases, and in the second half progesterone level increases. So when the estrogen level is very high, at that moment vaginal discharge is very thicky in the starting and in the ending of menstrual cycle. So at that moment vaginal discharge is a thick, sticky, and it is hostile to the sperm. And second thing, that it is very watery and more stretchy as the estrogen level increases. It mainly before the ovulation period, that is before the 14th day, when the estrogen level is very high. At that moment what happens, the vaginal discharge is very watery and very stretchy. Second thing you can know about any disease by looking over the vaginal discharge color. Like if it is red colored discharge, I'm not talking about menstrual cycle. Before or menstrual cycle, if the vaginal discharge is continually red in color, then you can say that there is some injury inside the ovaries, inside the cervix, inside the vagina. So it is basically due to red color discharge of the vagina. It is basically lead to the formation of red color in the vaginal discharge. Second, if the vaginal discharge is brownish in color, then you can say that lactobacillus concentration increasing, it leads to very high acidic environment, and that's why the discharge is brown in color. And if the discharge color is green and yellow, then you can say that there is some sexually transmitted infection. Different kind of infections are included in sexually transmitted infections. And if the discharge is curdy white in color, then you can say that there is some fungal infection which leads to the itching of the vagina. And if the fishy or metallic smell, then it leads to the disease, that is bacterial vaginosis. It mainly due to change in pH, because in the more alkaline condition, you can say, not every time, but yeah, you can say that uh, it is a symptom of vaginal, it is a symptom of bacterial vaginosis disease. Okay, now as I told you that for the protection of infection, for the protection from infection, vagina have some kind of flora, vagina have discharge, vagina have pH. So these three main factors act as an innate defense mechanism. What happens that vaginal flora, which includes lactobacillus, they maintain acidic pH and they compete with the pathogen which is present uh, surround the vaginal epithelial cell, which can harm to the vagina. So they do competition with these pathogenic bacteria and stop them outside. They prevent them outside the vaginal epithelial cell. Lactobacillus mainly help in this situation because it makes acidic environment in the vagina. So you can say that lactobacillus also produces some different kind of active compound like bacteriocin, lysozyme, and lactoferrin. These are produced by vaginal epithelial cell lactobacillus bacteria. So more acidic environment is is a factor, and also the different type of active compound which is produced by the vaginal flora, they leads to the defense mechanism. Second is vaginal discharge, as the vaginal discharge is very active against the bacterial species which is pathogenic in nature. So for example, in the pregnant female, group B streptococcus is act as a pathogenic bacteria, and a vaginal epithelial cells act as a defense mechanism during that time, during that period of pregnancy, against group B streptococcus. And the third factor is vaginal pH. As I told you from the starting, that as the vaginal pH is very less, that is more acidic environment, it leads to the you can say it leads to the it leads us in a healthy situation. We can remain healthy if the environmental condition of vagina is acidic in nature. But it is very acidic if if we can say if our pH concentration going increases, or you can even say that if the condition become more alkaline due to many reasons, then it leads to the preterm birth, risk of infection with the human papilloma virus. So increase in pH leads to the infection of different kind of diseases. So alkaline pH after menopause, that is after 45-year age or 50 years age in females, when estrogen levels falls very decrease, when estrogen level falls, or it become very less in concentration, at that moment what happens, vaginal pH increases, become more alkaline, and it leads to the risk of infection with different kind of pathogenic bacteria. So it was all about the protection from infection, vaginal discharge. In the next video, I'll tell you about different kind of vulvovaginal disorder. I will tell you about mainly 4 to 5 disease in the upcoming videos. So stay tuned and support me. Thank you, friends.